Good to see you for today's panel. I'm excited to have our wonderful speakers. This is day 2 of the Women Thrive Summit. And today we will be talking about how women rise and use feminine power to make an impact. We already talked about women empowerment, how important it is when we women come together. But we also have this feminine power that is unique to us. How can we use it to rise, thrive, create success, create abundance, create more impact in this world? We truly have this little secret that we can tap into. And today, with our panelists, with our panel hosts, we will be diving in a little bit deeper into this subject. Throughout today, I want you to stay engaged in the conversation, in the chat, ask questions. I know people will be joining us, they can. But I want to say welcome to our speakers who are joining us today. We have Alexandra, we have Elena, and Kim, who just delivered a wonderful session. Moira, we got Colette in the house, we got Deborah, and Zara right now on camera. Great to see you, ladies. So I want to say welcome to our panel hosts who will be taking the questions and engaging in this conversation. So first, I'd love to introduce Kim. Hello, Kim. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you doing today?
I'm excited. This is a great topic, and I think it's going to be powerful. We just had a wonderful session with you, Kim. So I know people would really love this. It's all about energy, right?
All about energy, and the feminine energy is here. I mean, we're stirring it. We're remembering. We're stepping into our unique power signatures, and they're different than the masculine energy. And it's not that the masculine energy needs to be, like obliterated or anything. It's that it needs to be, our energy needs to be stirred up and appreciated and savored and then woven in with that masculine energy, because this is a whole new world that we're embracing right now. There's a whole new way of living. There's a whole new way of leading, and it's awesome sauce.
Love it. Well, thank you for that. I can't wait, because yes, we have been stirring the energy. And when women come together, and especially forums like that, it's just inevitable that we're going to stir up a lot of energy in the world, within ourselves, within our communities, engaging these conversations. This is the purpose of a panel like this, because you get to really stir those conversations that usually get left on the wayside. We don't touch some of the topics that we get to discuss in the rooms like this when women come together. So I can't wait. Your co-host for today is also Alexandra. Alexandra, you haven't introduced yourself to our audience yet. Great to see you today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I've been kind of behind the scenes of everything, watching all the talks for the last couple of days. So I'm excited to, just be here with you guys today. And this topic is close to my heart as well. Kind of going off of what Kim said is, kind of the old way of doing business that we've been working with for a while is crumbling, and it's shifting to kind of blend the feminine and the masculine, with having them work together in a more unified way, with the feminine leading a little bit more of the time and having the masculine actually supporting kind of that feminine energy and allowing us to, really step forward and do things a little bit differently. Because as Ray, you were saying, us women, we have little superpowers. We have kind of that natural nurturing, part of us that really just likes to kind of pull out different things and problem solve differently and just lead in a different way. So I love this topic, and I'm excited to dive in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alexandra. So I'll hand it over to our hosts, but for your attendees, I would love for you to interact in the chat. Let us know where in the world you are joining us from. Give us a little introduction about yourself. This is truly an interactive session. If you do have a VIP ticket, put a VIP in the chat and let us know that you do have a VIP ticket. And for the panelists, for the hosts, we'll have some questions. We take questions from our audience. We also take questions or topics from our panelists today. And if you want to interact on this panel, raise your hand. And if you want to ask a question, raise a hand and we'll invite you to be involved in this conversation. So I'll put myself on mute We have lovely hosts who will be leading this discussion today. Thank you for your support.
Yes. So just to dive right in, ladies, I feel like we need to start with how, as women, can we do business differently, really leading with that feminine energy and putting that at the forefront? What are those little shifts that we can do to kind of embrace this movement even further? I'll start with Kim, my co-host.
So there's a whole, you're right, Alexandra, there's a whole new way of living and leading in life. And I am super excited for it. For me, what I love to talk about is we have intuitive magic. We have the ability to check in with ourselves, and we have an ability to tap into creativity and insights and inspiration in ways that maybe the masculine does, maybe the masculine doesn't. I'll just leave that to the side, right? But we have it. So that's awesome for us, right? So if we are, allowing ourselves to be true to us and true to our own gifts, then that is a game changer for everybody. It's a game changer for you, game changer for your clients, game changer for your loved ones, and game changer even for people that just know you even tangentially. So that's what I love to talk about. But what do other people love to talk about? I would love to hear.
Elena, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. No, I love it. I love it. And I guess one thing what I'm thinking about when we think about feminine and masculine energy, I feel like it's actually not gender specific. Like it exists with all of us. I certainly know for myself, I have a lot of masculine energy, but then if I'm too much in that energy, I think this is where I get tired, burnt out. It's like action driven force. While actually feminine energy is more, as Kim rightly said, it's more intuitive, it's more inwards looking, it's actually more quiet, more reflective. And I think it's almost like our business and our life is like a dance of those two things. And it's like, how do you actually stay in that balance? It's something I'm thinking and certainly exploring more. I certainly don't have the answers, but that's where I'm kind of navigating the space.
Yeah, I love that. And that's true. It's a dance. If we think of it as like a dance, sometimes the masculine energy will be leading, sometimes the feminine energy will be leading. I know there's Carolina, like you're speaking. So Colette, do you have anything that you want to add to this? I know your hand's been raised for a while. I know you have something to add to this that we both necessary.
Because I talk so much, right? No.
No, it's so good.
No, you know what? As women, we are incubators. We house life. And when we nurture things within us, when we birth it out, it's like magic, as Kim, as you just shared with us in your talk, but it gives a whole different perspective. We are those ones that we take it in, and we've got to make sure that it's growing and it's being nourished and being fed. And once it's like after it's at that birthing point where we push it out, then it's ready to go. It's ready to breathe on its own. It's ready to learn how to walk and all the things that your baby does once you've birthed it out. So just as being women, because we are natural incubators, we are going to make sure that it's being nourished, it's being fed, it's growing, and whatever it needs, we're putting into it. So that's what I wanted to share.
I love that.
So good. So good. Yes. I just love just that analogy of that we are incubators, like we do create, and it's all about kind of, allowing things time to really, come to the forefront and no longer rushing, no longer, having to maybe adhere to those harsh deadlines or anything along those lines that's rigid, but really just allowing it to kind of form and come as it's ready and not pressuring anything.
Yeah, I love what Alan's saying. We are the creators, right? So Dara is saying something about leaning in the masculine in the direction in the chat. Is that where you want to go with this, or you want to talk about the feminine? What do you want to talk about?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
This is really funny because I was in Utah for a 3-day training and strangers gave their first impressions to me. And one of them was, you are too in your masculine energy sometimes, and you need to open yourself up, even as an entrepreneur, to the help of others. And I think when I think about feminine energy, because so often I'm focused on the to-do list, the checklist, is to accept working with others, to accept kind of receiving help from others. And I know when I do that, then I can rebalance myself into a place of my feminine.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like, so really opening to that allowance. And women are natural collaborators. We're natural connectors, right? This whole nonsense story that we've been told for the last 10,000 years about how things are finite and then we need to compete, rubbish. Like pure, stick that in the trash can, right? So if you think about that, Dara, would that be helpful to think like we are a natural collaborator, just naturally, and a natural connector, and that it's safe to do that, and that people are generous and you have discernment, you'll know.
That's really spot on. I think in life, when you're a child, you're very trusting, you're very giving, you're very opening. Suddenly in your life, if you have 1-2 sharp swords, you kind of want to step a little back and you have this protection over you. And even if you don't mean it, sometimes that's what the energy that comes off.
Mm-hmm.
And so this weekend, as an entrepreneur, but as, a sister and as one of you, I got that wake up call where it's like, you have to open your heart a little bit more. And so that's just being vulnerable. That's where I'm headed right now.
That's beautiful. That's gorgeous. I did crazy things to open my heart. I went to a Kundalini yoga retreat right after one of my children were born for like a whole day with marathon runners and Pilates trainers and whatnot. Not my jam, you guys. But I was going there to open my heart. So I am right there with you, sister. I am right there. Power to the heart.
Love it. So good. I think Maura, you've had your hand up there for a minute. I want to hear from you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone on the Facebook as well. I'm Maura Nealhar. I find that, when it comes to like masculine and feminine, I think that we can't forget that a huge part of business is sales. And I think that women really shy away from sales and they don't consider how their feminine energy can be used really powerfully in sales. So when I was starting out and when I was first selling my, first high ticket packages to people and I was moving into high ticket closing, I found that obviously the energy of the conversations got a whole lot higher because it was way more charged. But I realized that when I had the right person in front of me or the right person to work with me, I could feel it in my body that this person was right. And it took me a long while to realize that the feelings in my body that, when I was selling to somebody that, it didn't feel good, that just meant that they weren't the client for me, not that it was salesy or that there was something like, not right in the conversation. And I think what women need to remember, especially when you're starting out, is 80% of your business now needs to be sales. So you really have to enjoy selling to people, but to remember that you're just speaking to a human being. It is a human to human conversation, but to tap into that feeling in your body. And for me, that's your feminine energy. And that's going to help you close more sales. That's going to help you make more money. And that is a really, really great thing. And what I teach my clients to do, instead of feeling like they're selling to people, to feel like they're inspiring people to do what they want. And I think that's much more feminine approach to sales. So that's my thoughts on the whole feminine, masculine thing when it comes to this.
I love that. You are speaking my language. I do a whole intuitive sales signature that's about you and your energy and how you like to relate to people and how you naturally relate to them and having you be part of that sales conversation because it's just a conversation. We have very high-end offerings. It's just a conversation. It's a beautiful, luscious conversation. So let's demystify the whole sales expression and opinion and belief. I'm all for that too. Let's stir that as part of the Women Rising movement.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Because I feel like sales can sometimes, I know for me personally, when I kind of jumped into this, I just like Maura, I felt weird about it. I really did, where I was like, oh, it feels like, to me, when I think of sales, I'm like, oh, pushy, like car salesman. I just feel like it's sleazy. And it was always something that was hard for me to break through. But once I kind of started, actually now have like a little ritual that I do for myself before I hop on those calls. Yeah, that just helps me to ground myself in my body, in my feminine, energy. And I can feel throughout my body. Like usually it's in kind of like my solar plexus, my chest, of when I'm like, yes, like this is a client for me. Or if I can tell, like, this isn't going to be the best fit. And I feel like as women, like that's what we really need to lean into, because
So powerful.
we know, we really know what is right for us. And if it's right for us, it's going to be right for that person too, because we're going to be able to show up and our energy will align.
Yeah. And, I just want to add one thing that you said there about, we're actually taught not to like sales, like as a society, because if everybody loved sales and if everybody was good at it, we'd all be making a whole lot more money than we are. So then when you get into business and it's all about sales, but we've been taught that it's this dirty thing that you shouldn't do. And actually every single thing around us was bought and sold at some point. It is the most natural thing in the world. So you really have to fall in love with sales, but fall in love with the feminine power of sales.
Yeah, exactly. I love what you're talking about, is that everything is a sale. Think about that. We're selling all the time. We're selling like the most ridiculous example I have is when you're trying to get your young child to eat food. You're negotiating with it.
Right?
Like, come on, if that isn't a sale, I don't know what is.
Totally. From the minute a child is born, it's this whole sales thing.
100%, Maura, 100%. I know Carolina's had her hand up for a while.
Oh my gosh, I agree so much with Maura. And I see that in our company, right? My sister and I, we have a sales and marketing company, and we have, I think in 5 years, we have trained more than 1,000 youngest people. And I've interviewed more than 1,000 guys coming up from the recent graduates and stuff. And we really see the difference between guys and girls. And, men tend to be more pushy, like they approach the client directly. They're like laser focused. And women are way more empathetic, like that's it, and that's why understanding the customer needs, it usually generates way better sales when we are selling. So, that's a fact. We have seen that through the years. And actually, our company is a women-led company. So, what can I say? And yeah, the other thing is that I see that balance energy when I dance as well. When you dance, the energy is different. And whenever you dance in a group or in couples or whatever, and it's different energy, and balancing that energy is beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love that.
I love that, Carolina.
I do too. Yeah, Dara just reinforced that in the chat. I do. I love that. Yeah, it is. It's a dance. It's a conversation. I love sales calls. I think they're awesome. I have so much fun. I get to meet all these new people, and you go into your intuition. And if it's a hell no at the very beginning, I have a luscious conversation for 10 minutes, give them a yummy meditation, and off we go. Right. So it's beautiful. I wouldn't have had that conversation otherwise, right? It's only 10 minutes.
And it's a really deep conversation. And if there's one thing that women are good at, it's deep conversations. But unfortunately, a lot of women shy away from the opportunity to go deeper because they take it personal. Oh, they don't want to work with me, or they get emotional. And it's really important to remember that business is not emotional. It's actually facts and figures. It can be unconditional in your stand for the person who says that they want a specific result. And as long as we're the person who's going to take the stand for them, and we do it in a loving, deep, listening, heartfelt way, we can only win. Right. Because if we can show people that maybe now is not the right time by helping them make a decision, or show them that now is the right time, either way, it's a win for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like either way, it's a win. I think Ellen also mentioned it in the chat of like, it's just an exchange of energy. It's a conversation. And like you said, Kim, it's just, yeah, like either way, it's a yes or a no. You get to lovingly guide them in whatever that is. And I have people come off where they're like, so I know that like, this isn't quite the right fit, but I feel like I just had a therapy session. Like, thank you. Yeah. Like it can get really deep and be incredibly impactful, whether it goes through or not.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And just to add, I love what Ellen said in the comments, and I just want to delve in deep into it. Thank you for that. It's truly is an exchange of energy. And I think you can tell it, like you can feel somebody's energy immediately when they speak. And you will immediately know whether you're going to jive, whether you like them or not. And you also feel their intention. You feel the intention, the rationale, the motivation behind it. That's why it comes across sleazy, salesy, because you feel it.
Right. But if it's just a conversation, like, here's the thing, sometimes money's too expensive. So it was a few months ago now, but I met with a gentleman who owns a $3 billion company. And one of my clients was like, I want you to work with him. I really want you to work with him. You can really help him. I walk into that Zoom room and I'm like, hell no, right? Like it was just like, he was not going open to it. He was, I mean, because you have to be open to do the really deep work, right? So, and what we did, we had a conversation that needed to be had, and then we parted ways and it was fine, but it wasn't comfortable. Because it wasn't comfortable because for whatever reason, he was saying yes, but it wasn't authentic. So it was just an uncomfortable conversation. What, it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We can be uncomfortable for the betterment of our team and our business and ourselves. So, right? Because I just kept thinking of the team. I thought my team is going to be chewed up and spit out. And then where am I going to be? That was not going to be good. That was an easy no. But sometimes it's like what I like to remind people is it's a yes or no for you too. It's not just I hope they come in. I hope they come in. No, because some people it's going to be terrible. And then it's just going to be now a long, terrible relationship instead of a 20-minute, maybe uncomfortable one. But I know Deborah's had her hand. Speaking of relationship, I know Deborah's had her hand up for a while.
Oh, yeah. I was going to comment on that because in sales, when we're selling, okay, I'm getting better at it, total honesty. But in sales, when you meet people, sometimes they're not the right fit for you. You know, you find out as you're going through the process that this is not making me feel good, right? Because when we're selling or when we're trying to share what we do, we're hoping that we are right for them. But sometimes we got to be like, but you're not right for me. It doesn't feel good within my soul to actually work with you because of the negativity that's coming from you, or because of how you're looking at this versus how it's going to help you. So I appreciate Kim bringing that out, because that's what I was gonna bring out, is how important it is for the fit to work for us as well. And also when it comes to our feminine energy, sometimes we're so nurturing that we don't bring in that masculine energy to say, I know I'm nurturing you, but I also want the sale. So let me show up to ask for the sale as well, right? So we have both of that going back and forth within us. So I just wanted to share that, but I am loving this conversation.
I love what you just said. And this is where I talk to people about the pivot that has to happen. If you're doing sales calls, right? If that's your process, you can start out like, oh, how can I support you? And all the things, you have a luscious conversation. At some point though, you're going to pivot and you're going to say, would you like to hear how much this is, or what the offer is, or what the value is, or what the investment is, whatever your pivot is? And you're right, Deborah, sometimes that requires that I just had you yummily in my container. We had this luscious conversation. Now, boom sauce, I get to do the sale, right? So giving yourself permission to recognize that that's a pivot. I tell my team, take a left turn. You got to take a left turn. You can take a wide left turn, but you got to take the turn. Because if you don't, then you just had a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's the feminine still leading with that nurturing, but then the masculine, just coming in to give that little support, just kind of leading you through that. Absolutely. Well, I'm loving this conversation, ladies. I also am curious to just shift it just a little bit to, as feminine leaders, how can we lead our own teams and grow our own teams differently with the feminine energy as kind of leading and that masculine again supporting? How can we do things differently moving forward for our teams and our own process and growth?
Yeah,
Oh, Colette, yeah, there she goes.
Yeah, Colette, and I'm going to just interject a little bit. There's the beautiful invitation of belonging and connection. That's what I feel is one of our greatest gifts. We have naturally more empathy. I know that I'll end a meeting. How does everybody feel? And it could be a meeting that's a status meeting, or it could be a meeting where I've just introduced new things, or it could be my team decided they wanted to do sales calls. I didn't even ask them. They're like, I want to do them. I want to try it out, right? So we had a training set. They were terrible. I love them, but they were terrible. They're getting better. They're getting better. They didn't take the left turn, so it's fine. But I will say, how do you feel? Can you imagine being in a boardroom? Okay, I know the million of boardrooms that I've been in, and I'm sure most of you have been in. Did anybody ever ask anybody how they feel? No, that was never a question. I just wanted to just throw that in before Colette and Elena and all the people just started talking about this.
Yeah, no, it's great. Absolutely.
So you kind of took where I was going.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Because we're empathetic, because we actually care about our team on a personal level. You know, we understand business is business, and there is a fine line there. We get that. And we have to make sure we're accomplishing our goals. But at the same time, as women, I think because of that nurturing spirit that we have, then we are going to be looking at the potential that's in our team and helping them develop it. It's not just do, but it's like, let me help you. Let me help you realize what your strengths are and add to strengthening your weaknesses. Let me help you align yourself with what you're really good at. You know, everybody is not a salesman. I put in there, I've always said, hey, I'm not that salesman, because either you want it or you don't.
Right.
Like, that's kind of my personality. But if I believe in something, then I will take it to the mat. I'm going to talk to you about it. I can promote it. I can do whatever. And I think that's the same way with our teams. If we believe in our teams, then we're going to promote our teams. Then we're going to help our teams. We're going to take that time to pour into our teams, because we're not that matter-of-factly that we just talked about a little while ago that men are. We're going to take the time to pour in and make sure we all kind of come up together and we all fit. We take the time that, well, where do you fit? Maybe you're not a salesman. Maybe, you know, you're the administrator that needs to make sure that we're all together. Maybe you are that one. You're the organizer. You want to make sure that whatever we need to do within the office is being organized properly. Where do you best fit? Not just, I'm gonna hire you for this job, and if you can't do that job, I'm gonna get rid of you. But more so, you know, let me help build you. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So Elena, do you have anything? I can see you nodding and
Yeah, no, indeed. I think it's amazing what you're saying, Colette. I think it's so true. And I love how this is actually connected to what we were talking yesterday about the purpose and alignment. This is actually a really beautiful continuation of that conversation, because this is how we help our teams. You know, the way we help our teams to perform at their best when they feel happy, when they feel in full alignment and connected to their purpose in their work. When they step in every day and they feel like they're fun, their work is joyous, they're in their zone of genius and it feels fun. This is how we make the most out of people. They're happy, they're content, they're inspired, they want to do more, they want to be more. So this alignment of actually, how can we align the task, our business, to suit people's strengths, their needs, their areas of passion and excitement. And that's a beautiful way to create teams, to manage teams that way.
it is. And we also want to be able to have that difficult conversation. Like my team members know I hold their potential and we're doing that alignment. We've got them in their lanes and we've pivoted a bunch, right? We're growing, we can do that. but they know if there's a difficult conversation to be had, they know A, I'm going to be transparent about it with them, and B, I'm going to be upfront, and there's no hidden agenda. There's no, like, I'm really thinking this over here, but saying that. There's no avoidance, basically, right? So as transparent as we can be, and as open as we can be to have those conversations and to have that beautiful communication, I think that helps tremendously too.
Well, what I love also, Raymond is saying in the comments, that it's also alignment with mission, right? This is the way to frame the conversation. The difficult conversation is this behavior, this performance not helping our overall mission, because we have such a big mission to fulfill, and we're all pulling in that direction. When your team, your company is pulling in that direction, it's not just about you and me.
Right.
It's so much bigger than us.
Exactly.
Love it.
that.
Awesome. Carolina, I know you got something to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we are big cheerleaders. I mean, you know, I am, but yes, it's that, and the energy changes when, you know, when you are cheerleading your team or your colleagues in a congress like this, or a dance thing, doesn't matter, right? They feel empowered. And when they feel empowered, their motivation goes up and their productivity goes up. So it's like this. And that's why I love it. I mean, I used to be, when we were in the middle of Manhattan in our office, I was literally high-fiving everybody coming into the office at 7 a.m. in the morning. And they were 20, 25-year-old kids, you know. Why? Because if they felt this energy, then the rest of the day, they were gonna perform and sell, actually. So that little detail in the morning, that high five with a coffee, it changed the whole day. It's amazing. And that's why being a cheerleader is important, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it goes beyond building that culture. It's just that energy and leading. There's a little conversation off going in here in the chat too about just like leading with soul. And that's really what I feel like us here as women are here to do. We're, you know, not just entrepreneurs, we're like soulpreneurs. We're building businesses that are based on leading with our soul, leading with that empathy and that emotion, and still having that masculine always support us, but really allowing people to come as they are and show us what they have to offer, and nurturing that in a way that really works and lifts them up. And whether that's, giving them a high five, cheering them on, just doing those little things that really, lift everyone up. Ray, you got your hand up.
I just echo all the thoughts and your input on this topic. And I think leading with that empathy, and we specifically as women, we can relate, especially if you have other women in your team, you can relate with those challenges. And I just want to encourage, especially right now, whether you're leading a team or whether you're just interacting with other people, just being really empathetic to life situations, because we're going through a lot of things in life right now. There is war going on in Ukraine. There is still COVID. There's, illnesses and a lot of things. And sometimes emotionally, we might not be able to give. So when you're interacting with people, I think just leading with empathy and understanding and not assuming that it's about us, is actually just be okay with that, you know what, if someone isn't responding or isn't able to show up, just have that empathy. And I actually had a gentleman drop into my inbox recently and was trying to shut me down for not responding to him 6 months ago. And I said, do you realize that there is life happening outside of it? And he took it very personal. I said, I am all about women empowerment. And I said, we got to choose how we treat each other, how we treat other people. And I shared in the chat that some of my team members been with us for years because through those times, through my team members having to take grievance leave or not being well, and even during the moments when we have these summits or big events or very stressful moments, and I felt like I really needed my team there and they couldn't be there, I still led them with empathy, and I said, it's okay. I'll take that as my responsibility and still lead with empathy, because they are part of your vision, right? That your team are part of your vision. And when you are able to stand in your truth, lead with that empathy, they will stick around for so much longer and respect you so much more, that actually you were able to understand them. And that's where the ego could get in the way of us, making those harsh decisions, whereas your feminine energy leans into that nurturing side. And that has really worked for me and my business.
Love
So
that.
good. Yes, so good. Yeah, and Colette just chimed in with, yeah, we take on that understanding, which I feel like is just so key to, leading anyone or anything is key.
Yeah, I think expanding on that and talking about awareness, right, of self and of other. Like if we're aware of ourselves and we know that, okay, this is a strength of ours, but this may not be a strength, and no, this is like definitely not a strength, right? One that helps us attract the right people to round out our team, but the other, it gives them space to be the expert in that area, to be the go-to person, to be the one that is the champion of that, and we can graciously give that over to them. Because that isn't specifically in our lane, right? Because there is so much space when we're growing a business. There's so much opportunity when we're growing a business, because there's so many things that need to be done, right? So everybody can have their own skill set and their own strength, and then this gives them permission to have things that they're not that good at. One of my team members, she can figure out everything technologically, and it's amazing. She's terrible at writing copy. The other person is great at writing copy and she can't do anything technologically. How lucky am I? Boom, they're married in the buddy system, right? So, but it took us a little wrangling to be able to have them feel safe enough to admit it. Because again, we're a small business, we're growing. We could have everybody doing all the things. And this woman could feel really not confident about this area. Well, because she's terrible at it. It's not her jam. That's fine. That's not a problem at all. And of course, I have fun with them and we joke and all the things, right? Because we want to make it lighthearted. But yeah, it's so good. There's opportunity for everybody, I like to say. So much opportunity for everybody.
I love that. And I just wanted to touch on just one little word that you said is safe.
Mm-hmm.
Feel really creating, and I feel like as women, like that's just something that, again, goes back to our nurturing and our understanding and our empathy, but creating that space to allow people to, admit it and be like, that's not my strong suit over here. Can someone else, help me out with that or take that on? And I feel like that is huge in growth, is really creating that space where people, feel good. Or like, I think we mentioned way in the beginning of asking, how do you feel? How are you feeling about this? Let's do like a check-in, or what can we do to really make sure that, everyone is on board here. I feel like just that was really key. I wanted to mention. Yeah, Deborah.
Yeah, I can really appreciate that too. Ramonda was bringing out how there's so much going on in the world, right? And we don't know how our emotions are going to be affected by the things that's going on in the world. And actually sometimes it could catch all of us off guard, as far as something that takes place and we didn't expect to feel the way we felt, right? So we always have to consider other people and how they're feeling and what they're going through, and then think about how we can help them to get through it, because we need it too. We need it back and forth. We need that support to help us cope with whatever is going on with us. So of course we want to be able to give it to someone else. So this part is just excellent, but it's always thinking about the empathy of other people and showing up for them, because we also need people to show up for us.
Yeah, and that's where the reciprocity happens, right? I mean, so we talk about, you've heard me be a little cheeky when I was talking about my team. I mean, they're amazing. I'm so in love with them. They're so great. And on Friday, apparently, I had pivoted pretty abruptly in a meeting and didn't realize it, didn't have that self-awareness in the moment. There's a lot going on. I love how you brought that up, Deborah and Alexander and everybody in the chat, talking about that, and that the fact that I had another meeting with her on another subject yesterday, and she was nervous, and that's not her usual stance. And I said, hey, so what's going on? And she said, I have to bring something up to you, and I feel really uncomfortable. So what did I do? I leaned in. I just leaned right in, and I just heard what she said. And I, of course, apologized. I asked her if she wanted me to do something with the group that we were with. She didn't want that spotlight on her, but we talked about it for a moment. And then I leaned in again and I said, thank you so much for bringing that up. I wasn't aware of that. And she was like, she cried. She was like, this is so safe. So we had a huge healing moment that now I recognize that I have the pivot I need to do is just a little bit softer. That's huge, because I'm sure somebody else in the meeting was affected too. And then she feels safe enough to have had that conversation.
So beautiful, because then it allows us to grow even further as leaders as well. And I feel like as women, we're a little bit easier we can find adapting, maybe a little bit easier than men. And we, just a little bit, we adapt, we pivot, we can really do that. And when someone brings something up, I think it does go back to empathy, that we're like, okay, we don't want to make that person feel that way. Like, how can we grow in this moment? How can we take responsibility and really kind of, make this an amazing healing moment? I love that you use that word. I feel like that's not used in business a lot. So I love that that's brought up, that we can use it as a growing and healing moment, which is huge.
Yeah. I love this. We have so many comments. The people are just, like,
I know,
bringing in the love of the conversation. This is luscious. Dara, I see your hand up.
So this weekend, I feel like my emotions totally cracked open. I don't know how to describe it. Like, just hearing this made me want to cry a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to cry, but made me emotional in a sense, because I know what it feels like to just be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I didn't expect this, but just like having like even a leader just see you. And when I wanted to transition into journalism, there's one leader, right, who really stands out to me, right? His name was Roger Cheng at CNET. And he, while other people like to micromanage, he literally first day of my internship, he threw me out into the field. He's like, I trust you, go find the story, go do it. Total autonomy. And just for that first time to someone say, I trust you, this and that, it means the world to me. Even like a couple years later, I think about that and I'm like, wow, he did that for me and he doesn't even know it. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
So powerful, Dara. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being so vulnerable. It's so beautiful. And what you're saying is so true. It's like when someone sees in us more than we can see in ourselves. When someone trusts us more than we can trust ourselves. It's powerful and it's life-changing. It's not just powerful, it's life-changing. You have a boss, you have someone, a friend, a mentor, a woman. And when we can be that for other people, for our clients, for our community, for our friends, our family, see more potential in them than they can see for themselves. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Amanda, your hand was up. Because we don't want to jump on this. Potential is leadership. Leadership is potential. I'll be quiet now.
I want to bring forward a comment that Abdi just shared and maybe a thought to go with it, isn't it, Alexandra? And I just want to read it out for those who might not be able to see the chat. As a young CEO, 24, from Tunisia, where most of the leaders are men, I consider this conversation as a push for me to continue and keep up the good work. Thank you, ladies. I think it's a beautiful comment, and I just want to commend you for stepping into that leadership role at your age, and especially being surrounded by men. There is a perception that feminine energy maybe is weaker, or we women are not as strong. But I want to just bring to our attention that the feminine way of leading is just different. It's neither better or worse. It's just different. And I think we can find the benefits and the strength in the feminine leadership and what we're talking about today, that empathy can play a pivotal role in leadership and your emotional intelligence. We women, we're not driven by ego as much as men are. And by doing so, we can tap into everything that's going on around us, pick up energies, pick up conversations, what's not being said. You know, it's very good. It's very easy to pick up what's being said, but what is not being said. So I feel like I just want to commend you, Abdi, for sharing, for stepping into that role, and just to bring forward that conversation to encourage more women to understand the power of leadership of women, and no matter what age you are, because it can feel intimidating, especially when you're surrounded by men in particular industries.
Absolutely, especially when you're young. I recall being that age and in a boardroom as well, and being surrounded by men. I think there was one other woman at the time, but she was much older than me. And so, yeah, Adi, like, it's just incredible that you're really stepping into this. And I want to encourage you even further to really own that for yourself, because we need you. We need you in the world, and it's absolutely incredible. So yeah, thank you so much. I think, Deborah, you had your hand up for a sec.
Couple of thoughts. I appreciate the fact that we are here inspiring others, and we're here because of Raymanda. Like, we feel like we are successful in our own right? However, when we were given this opportunity to be speakers, we're allowing other people to see what we can bring to the table. We're allowing other people to see what's possible for them, right? So when having this opportunity has just opened up so many ways in which women can collaborate, women can just get together and see each other and appreciate each other. So I just wanted to say that, because it's just so important that we give Raymanda some pointers here, because I love her to death, and I just really appreciate being a part of this. And I can't say it enough, and y'all gonna continue to hear me say it, but I just love to be, I'm just so thankful and happy that I'm a part of this group, that I've got to meet you, that I've got to experience what you bring to the table. And I look forward to what the rest of the week is gonna carry, because we are all leaders and we are all helping each other. We're helping each other to be better in what we're already doing. So thank you.
I receive it. I don't have a box of tissue around me, so I'm not gonna cry. But thank you. I wholeheartedly receive you, and I love you all dearly. Thank you.
Good. Carolina, I think you had your hand up too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, thank you, Ray. It's a really huge pleasure to be here. And I don't know if were you, Alex, that you were talking about the ballroom. I experienced that when I was in my late 20s. And I was the only girl in the ballroom, and there was the rest of the people. They were men over 50, like, you know, almost double like me. and they were treating me like a child, you know, because they assumed I didn't have experience. They assumed I didn't have the knowledge, and it was hard. It was very hard. And also being an expat, you know, and nothing related with the US, but, you know, different cultures between and stuff, you know, the several topics can be infinite. So I definitely had that experience. And I thought several times, like, you have two ways, either to be defeated at that place and feel defeated, or saying, you know what, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna step up. And at that point, I thought, you know what, I'll probably build a business led by women. And I didn't know anything about that by that time. But I had that intuition, you know, I had that feminine intuition in my heart. that someday I was going to build something. And that's what I did. So it's not allowing yourself to be beaten up, I think.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know, yeah, we've talked about that a little bit too, and it's huge. Yeah, we need you and Adi and these young women to be that light in that boardroom and to show these men a different way. Right? We can do this differently and, you know, kind of lead them and show them that maybe they can be led a little bit by us ladies. Yeah, Elena.
Yeah, I just want to indeed, I think, Carolina, what you're saying, and I just applaud Abdi for you for sharing. And also, I know it's not easy. I've been there and it's not easy. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's not easy when you are the youngest, the only female, probably from a different cultural background. It's not easy. And I know exactly how it feels. And I think one of the scary things that does happen in the process is that don't forget to use the power of your voice. Your opinion matters, your decisions matter, your thinking matters. And don't allow other people to overtake you, kind of overpower you with their opinions, with their voices, with their presence, with their energy. I think this is potentially one of the things that a lot of women will be experiencing actually, and this is why I love this summit. And what we talk so much about is having use your voice. Your thoughts matter, your ideas matter, your knowledge, your background matters. Doesn't matter how old you are, you matter. And you're extremely powerful. You are there for a reason. Take all the space in the room you can take.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And I loved what Dr. Claire King shared. Such a powerful story in the comments. I mean, we bow to all the people who were courageous and who are being courageous and who will be courageous, right? Because we talked about it yesterday, growth is uncomfortable, right? And we're going through a shift. We're going through a paradigm shift on how leadership is going to be defined and how it's going to work and how it's going to be living in the world. So we're all going to be uncomfortable. Yay, let's be uncomfortable together.
Right, let's just embrace that.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray?
I could also relate to what Dr. Claire was saying in the comments, and also when age and our courage, us stepping up. And I remember when I was younger in my 20s, yes, I had courage. I would reach out to incredible organizations and sit in meetings, but at some points I would feel intimidated sitting in big meetings with investors or just big CEOs. You'd feel intimidated. And a lot of the times I didn't use my voice or speak up. So, and now having gone through that experience, built more courage and self-belief, I look back and I think, well, if I only stepped into that power in my 20s, used my voice, because the knowledge and the foresight that I had in my 20s is different than what I have now. But the ideas and the input that you have at that age is so valuable, and we underestimate how valuable that input is for someone who is older, right? Or in those rooms where older people are sitting and they have great experience, but actually they're dying to know what you think. Mm-hmm. Because that perspective, and coming from a completely different generation, we need to blend that. Right? We must blend that. And the first time I remember I got hired by a lady, she was, I think she was around in her 60s. And I was wondering, why is she hiring? What can she learn from me, right? I just felt like, oh my goodness. I felt a little bit intimidated at that point. And I just realized she just wanted that different perspective. I was more aware of the social media and all the ins and outs of the online world. And we can learn from wherever we are. So whatever age you are at, embrace your knowledge, embrace your mind, what you have, the innovative ideas. My mind doesn't think the way I was thinking in my 20s, and like the innovative and creative ways that I could put things together. Once the life experience have happened, you become a bit, yeah, that's not going to work. But when you're early in your 20s, your mind just comes up with all sorts of creative things. So use it, embrace it. So that's my share.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Deborah.
I had mentioned this before that I actually grew up in the corporate world because I started working for Procter & Gamble when I was 17. So of course it was male dominated when I started, and it was male dominated for a very long time. So yes, I was intimidated, but then I woke up one day and realized they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. So I decided that the job that I had, I wanted to transform that job, right? So I decided that I was going to go to my manager, and keep in mind, I worked for PhDs. In my department, it was all PhDs. They all thought they were gods. And here, little old me, who never went to college, wanted to tell them what my idea was. But I did it anyway, because of course you're young, you're in your 20s, and you decide you got it, you know everything, but you really don't. But anyway, it was just the fact that I had enough courage to speak up for what I wanted and gave them an idea that they had never thought about. And so I was able to change my job to incorporate something that I wanted to do and made it easier for them in the process. So when you think about the fact that when you're in the boardroom, when you're in the corporate world and it's only men around you, think about what I just said. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like we do.
Yeah, I love that. It's just like such a grounding perspective that you're like, oh yeah, we're all human. We're all here. We all have ideas. Like, who cares if you have a PhD or not? Like, I mean, respect to anyone who does, but at the same time, like, if you don't, you still like, I went to art school. So a lot of people find that out and they're like, oh, okay, well, what good ideas do you have? Like, I still got them, So I commend you, Deborah. That's incredible. Yeah.
One other thing, the irony of the whole thing is, yes, they were PhDs, but part of my job was training them in certain areas, right? So here I am, little old Debbie, but I'm training them in their PhD. So it's all relative, really. It's truly relative. It's from what perspective are you looking at this? So, that's it.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's absolutely great. Yeah. Look at it from the perspective as we all put our pants on one leg at a time. I just love that. Colette.
I kind of wanted to connect Deborah and Ramunda and say that, we need, even in our senior portion of our life, to still be fearless, to still have that creativity that we had when we were young, and to still be fearless, to still raise our hand and say, I have an idea, to still recognize that we are valuable and that we have something to contribute. Likewise, to not ever get to that place of age or stage in life that we think we can't learn from the younger generation. As I told the young lady in the chat, you're our future. The young ladies are our future. So we need to definitely be pouring into them, but we also need to listen to them. So just let's still stay fearless and let's stay creative, but also recognizing that the youth have good ideas as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Because being of an age, and I was just telling one of my clients this morning, she's walking into a room full of very high value people in 2 weeks, and she's much younger. And I was just saying exactly that. I think I'm 20 years older than she is. And I said, I can learn so much from you. So when you walk in, you bring that in. And I said, and the people that you want to talk to are going to be self-aware enough to know that. They're going to be the one that are generous and asking questions and staying in wonder and being curious. So that, to me, I think wonder and curiosity keeps us young. And for those of you who are younger, just note to fruit yourself. Wonder and curiosity can keep you young.
Absolutely. I think Elena, who wants to jump in?
I really can relate that, what you say, Colette, with my dance teacher in Boston. I mean, he's almost 80 years old, and he keeps innovating. He keeps traveling. He keeps saying, let's go to this festival now and let's go there. And that's what I learned from like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, right? I found this amazing leader. It's like, yeah, I'm not afraid to go to Norway. I don't care if it's cold or whatever. I'm going there, you know. Are you coming? And I'm like, sure, let's go to the plane. Let's get the plane together, you know. And I absolutely love that. It's fascinating, you know, to see someone that is teaching you like to be fearless. It's fascinating. And that's why I keep doing what I do right now with dance, because I learned from him, you know. Amazing.
Amazing. So Elena, do you want to bring this conversation home?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say is I think it's just we put a definition on whatever we want. We define what our age means. Truly, is it gonna? We are in charge of it all. We define what our place means, what our age, what our name, what our background, what our story means. We truly define it the way we want.
Yeah, love that. That's a perfect note. Just being mindful of the time, doing my job as co-host.
Yes, thank you. I know I was too involved in the conversation. I'm like, this is great, let's keep going. But yeah, I love that, Elena, of just like, I think that's a great kind of note to wrap up, is just, we get to define what leading with feminine energy looks like, what it feels like, how we, you know, grow and kind of move, and how we listen to, you know, younger people, older people, how everyone's perspectives are in there. We get to decide, which is beautiful.
I love it. Well, my beautiful hosts and our panelists, thank you so much for doing a wonderful job in this conversation, bringing so much value and inspiration to our audience. And to our audience, thank you so much for participating in the chat, commenting, engaging. Tomorrow, we have Elena and Claudia actually hosting a panel on building solid business foundations for growth. And I know we are going to be diving even more deeper into various strategies and techniques for business. Of course, all of you panelists are welcome to join us tomorrow. I'm very excited. Tomorrow is going to be day 3. So we're halfway through the summit. So I'm very excited. Today we have seen some powerful conversations, and these panels are always really, really heartwarming. And when we curate the summit, I want to bring forward different voices from different backgrounds, from different experiences, different ages, perspectives. And that's what makes it a really, really juicy and interesting conversation, because you're all coming from different backgrounds, right? Different experiences, your perspectives. And I encourage you, for attendees who are watching, this is a display of how important your voice is, how important your experience is, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter. Your input is important, your experience is important, your story, whatever you're going through, you can make a contribution in this world, whether within your own community, whether within your own boardroom, within your family, your environment, your business. You matter. It's important. That's why I say that this year is about women rising, because when we have risen to our potential, to our power, we get to make much bigger impact. But we have to recognize that that power, we already have it. It's already yours. You don't need to have permission. You don't need to ask anyone whether I can. Guess what? We entrepreneurs, we started our businesses because we didn't need to ask permission. So as you're going into embracing this feminine leadership, as embracing your position, embrace it. Don't ask for no permission. You don't need it, okay? So tomorrow, I'm hoping that you're gonna raise your hand and say, hey, I don't need a permission. I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna be participating. I'm gonna take action. I'm gonna lead. We don't need permission, right? So let's show up in a more powerful way, because when we rise to that power, we own it. Don't ever apologize for taking up space, for speaking up, for being there, for being present, for taking up the time. Don't ever apologize. I hear that so much, that women apologize for taking up the space. Don't do that. Rise to your power. You are here. You are here on purpose. You got a mission. We heard so many amazing stories. You are here to be empowered. And this is what these ladies are displaying right here, right now, with their voices, with their stories, inspiration. And we're here to raise you up. Ladies, thank you for another beautiful day, for your input, your inspiration. I love you. Kind and beautiful words. See you, Deborah, Carolina, Kim, Moira, Deborah, Dara, Alexandra, Colette, Elena, and all of you participants who are still here, Abdi, Angelic, Dr. Clara King, Iman, Osha, and Struzy Events that are still here. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you get to catch some replays if you didn't get around to it. Make sure you do. We had a wonderful day. And if you haven't upgraded your ticket, you may want to do that to catch the replay of these talks that we had today and yesterday. And tomorrow is another day, and I'm looking forward to it. I guess that's a picture moment, right, Elena? Did you get that? Come on, let's do a little wave. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you so much. Loved it.
I look forward to your panel tomorrow, Elena.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Alexandra. Thanks, Kim. Bye for now.